President Richard Nixon rolls a frame at the White House bowling alley, a spot first installed for Harry Truman. He was known to use the alley to relax during the intense pressures of his presidency. A lineup of Princess Diana lookalikes gathered for a competition in New Zealand back in 1981. The winner of the contest got the chance to meet Prince Charles during his official royal tour of the country. Diners at the Windows on the World restaurant enjoyed a meal from over 1,300 feet above New York City. Located on the 107th floor of the World Trade Center's North Tower, it was one of the highest-grossing restaurants in the world. A circus hippo named Lotus pulls her owner in a custom-built cart in this photo from 1924. She was a popular attraction at the Barnes Circus and was known for her surprisingly gentle temperament. Motorola released this combination TV, radio, and cocktail bar in 1951 for the ultimate home entertainment setup. For around $1,200, a host could tune into I Love Lucy while mixing martinis for their guests. 15-year-old Dorothy Counts endures a hostile crowd on her first day at a previously all-white high school in 1957. Her family was forced to withdraw her from the school after only 4 days due to relentless harassment. Thousands of college students flocked to Balboa Beach, California for spring break back in 1947. It was a post-war celebration where days were spent sunbathing and nights were for bonfires on the sand. A luxury car dealership in 1931 showcases the latest models in a showroom with tile floors and wood-paneled columns. During the Great Depression, an automobile like one of these was a powerful symbol of wealth and status. The Bumper 8 rocket makes history with its launch from Cape Canaveral, Florida, in July 1950. It was a two-stage rocket, combining a captured German V-2 with an American WAC Corporal rocket on top. A competitor in the World Pole Sitting Championships in the Netherlands eats a meal high above the ground in 1971. This bizarre endurance contest required participants to stay on their poles for hundreds of hours to claim a victory. Chinese leader Mao Zedong takes a swim in a man-made reservoir in 1961, an activity he did often. These swims were heavily publicized within China to project an image of his strength and vitality, even in his later years. The top photo shows Athens, Greece in 1862, with Lycabettus Hill standing over a much smaller city. Over 150 years later, the modern view reveals a sprawling metropolis, but the ancient hill remains the city's highest point. Before coming to America, the Statue of Liberty stood fully assembled in a Parisian workshop in 1884. It was then taken apart into 350 individual pieces and packed in crates for its long journey across the Atlantic. Actor Paul Newman attends the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom on August 28, 1963. He stood among the crowd of over 250,000 people who heard Martin Luther King Jr. deliver his I Have a Dream speech. A rural Swedish mail carrier wears his standard-issue winter uniform made entirely of wolf fur around the year 1900. This heavy coat was a necessity for delivering mail by horseback or sleigh through the harsh Scandinavian winters. King George V of Britain stands with his first cousin, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, in Berlin in 1913. Despite their close family ties and striking resemblance, the outbreak of World War I, a year later, would place them on opposing sides of a devastating conflict. Actor Paul Newman is pictured here in a candid shot during the 1960s. Along with being a Hollywood superstar, he was a champion race car driver who later founded the Newman's Own food company, donating all its profits to charity. Dean Martin and Angie Dickinson share a moment behind the scenes of the classic 1959 Western Rio Bravo. Dickinson played a tough gambling woman in the film, which also starred another Hollywood heavyweight, John Wayne. Actress Linda Carter wears a costume for a musical number in one of her popular TV specials from the late 70s. Best known as Wonder Woman, she was also a talented singer who famously performed many of her own stunts on the hit show. The godfather of soul, James Brown, stands in front of his private Learjet around 1967. He was one of the first black entertainers in America to own a private jet, a powerful symbol symbol of his commercial success and independence. John Lennon and his son Julian pose with the cast during a visit to the Happy Days set in 1974. Henry Winkler, who played the Fonz, later recalled that the rock and roll superstar was surprisingly shy during the set visit. A photo of Hillary Rodham, taken around 1969 when she was a student at Wellesley College. That same year, she made headlines as the first student in the college's history to deliver a commencement speech. A bronze water valve and faucet recovered from the ruins of ancient Pompeii after nearly 2,000 years. The sophisticated plumbing systems in wealthy Roman homes supplied running water to private baths and kitchens. America's first astronauts, the Mercury 7, pose in their iconic silver spacesuits after their selection in 1959. The suits were modified U.S. Navy high-altitude flight suits, designed to protect the astronauts in case of sudden cabin depressurization. A family stands by their 1955 Ford station wagon before boarding a City Tour Deluxe sightseeing bus. The tour bus is a flexible Visicoach, a classic model that became a common sight on America's roads during the post-war tourism boom. An iron worker carefully navigates his position atop the World Trade Center's North Tower in 1979. He's working on the massive antenna, which rose 360 feet above the roof to transmit signals for most of New York's TV and radio stations. Kitchen staff at a Soviet sanatorium participate in a mandatory gas mask drill during the 1930s. The Soviet government enforced these civil defense exercises nationwide, fearing the imminent threat of a chemical attack in a future war. An actor dressed as a Cyberman from the TV show Doctor Who takes a cigarette break during the 1980s. This specific design is from a popular story arc, but the iconic villains themselves have been menacing audiences since their first appearance in 1966. Marilyn Monroe poses on a Santa Monica beach in July 1962 for what became her final photo shoot. The photographer, George Barris, was a friend who was so devastated by her passing weeks later that he refused to publish the images for over 20 years. A milkman makes a doorstep delivery, a common sight in American neighborhoods through the mid-20th century. He would leave fresh milk in reusable glass bottles and collect the empties from the previous delivery. Director George Lucas stands with Mark Hamill on the set of the first Star Wars film in 1976. They were filming in the harsh Tunisian desert, which stood in for Luke Skywalker's home planet of Tatooine. Before she was a movie star, a young Audrey Hepburn performed ballet at secret underground concerts in the Nazi-occupied Netherlands. The money raised from these illegal black performances was donated to the Dutch resistance. Actor James Dean shares a table with a young Swiss actress named Ursula Andress in 1955. This was just before the release of Dean's final film, Giant, and years before Andress would become famous as the first Bond girl. For decades, Finland's government has provided expectant mothers with a maternity box containing clothes and supplies. The sturdy cardboard box itself is designed with a mattress in the bottom to be used as a baby's first bed. A group of women play cards on a Florida beach in 1941, listening to a portable battery-powered radio. These early portable radios were a new luxury, allowing people to bring music and news with them for the first time. The Beatles waved to a crowd after landing at New York's JFK Airport for their first American visit in February 1964. Just 2 days later, they would make their historic debut on The Ed Sullivan Show, watched by an estimated 73 million viewers. This female torso, carved from black chlorite stone, was created in Rajasthan, India, during the 9th century. Despite being over 1,000 years old, the intricate details of the jewelry and garments are still clearly visible. French strongman Charles Rigoulot, an Olympic gold medalist, was considered the strongest man in the world in the 1920s. He became the first person to officially clean and jerk a barbell weighing over 400 pounds. Actress Winona Ryder is photographed for a Rolling Stone magazine feature in 1991. This was at the height of her early fame, following popular roles in films like Heathers and Edward Scissorhands. The popular Mocambo nightclub refused to book jazz singer Ella Fitzgerald until Marilyn Monroe made the owner a promise. Monroe pledged to personally sit at a front table every night of the engagement, guaranteeing press coverage the owner couldn't refuse. The Carmen factory in Germany around 1969 shows workers finishing both the VW Beetle and the stylish Carmen Ghia. Though the two cars looked very different, the sporty Ghia was actually built on the same reliable chassis and engine as the Beetle. A young Hans Zimmer stands with his giant Moog modular synthesizer in the 1970s. Before becoming a famous Hollywood composer, he played synth on the Buggles' hit song "Video Killed the Radio Star." This is one of the Tucker snowcats used during the Commonwealth Trans-Antarctic Expedition of the late 1950s. The expedition, led by Sir Vivian Fuchs, completed the first-ever overland crossing of the Antarctic continent. A businessman uses an early car phone in his Ford Thunderbird around 1959. The bulky equipment often took up most of the trunk space, and the service could cost as much as a monthly car payment. Australian swimmer Annette Kellerman promoted this radical one-piece bathing suit in the early 1900s. She was once arrested on a Boston beach for indecency, as her form-fitting suit was considered shocking compared to the dresses women usually wore. In the 1940s, women looking to slim down could try the Redico-Matic, a portable electric sweat bag. The device was essentially a heated blanket that promised to melt away fat through perspiration while the user simply relaxed. This colorized photo from around 1900 shows a street scene in Biskra, a desert oasis town in Algeria. The narrow, winding streets and mud brick buildings were designed to provide shade and help the residents stay cool in the intense North African heat. Actress Grace Kelly takes a break with a popsicle during the filming of Alfred Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief in 1954. The film was shot on location in the French Riviera, and this candid moment was captured between takes. Legendary football coach Bear Bryant, famous for his houndstooth patterned hat, shares a moment with one of his players. Over his 25 years as head coach at the University of Alabama, Bryant won 6 national championships and 13 conference titles. A young couple in the late 1960s gets mesmerized by a piece of optical illusion art, a popular style at the time. In the background, a poster of John Wayne from the 1968 film The Green Berets creates a sharp contrast with the era's psychedelic culture.